Morning.
Greetings.
Well, Craig, do you want to take it away or do you want to wait a couple minutes and
No, I'm ready to start. I can go ahead and get going. All right. Greetings, everybody. Welcome. I'm Craig Smyser. I'm with Fiv in Austin, Texas. And topic today is going to be on client events. So before we get too far into it, I just kind of want to understand people's experience with it. Where are people from? I'm looking across. I don't see a lot of areas noted in people's names, and looks like we have a lot of note takers on here. Where are people from? Province there. You can just unmute yourself and just shout out where you're from so I can get a kind of an idea of what we're looking at. Okay.
Boston, Mass.
Boston, okay.
Southern California.
Okay.
Connecticut.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. And how about experience with client events? Who has held at least one client event? All right. Who has not held any client events or isn't going to raise your hand regardless of what questions I ask? All right. I think that answers that. All right. So with, I've done one of these before on community events, and this is, a different version of that. With community events, it's, a very different audience. But with your client events, these are people that, they already enjoy working with you. They liked their experience because, well, I guess if they didn't, they're probably not sticking around and coming to your client events anyway, right? So these are people that already know, like, and trust you, and it's really a way, the object behind this, holding these events, is one, to thank them, right? You do appreciate the business that they have done with you in the past, but it's a great way to get in front of them again, and have a chance to talk to them, have a chance, sometimes them meeting other clients of yours is also helpful. It's a chance to ask for referrals from them. So, it all comes together and works well. It just gives you more face time with them. So when you're trying to determine what kind of event you want to do, there are a few things that you have to figure out first before you decide what the event's going to be. First of all, is it going to be an event that's for the whole family, or is it an event that's just for the adults? Right? I do different ones, and we target them for different purposes, right? And so you need to, like, if we take out, like, one of the last ones we did was we went to a fairly pricey place. In our town, it's the best barbecue in Nazar. I took clients to Interstellar. They've won a Michelin star, all that stuff, and it's usually like a few hours in line to get in. So we had the place closed one time for our clients, so it was kind of pricey to do that. This was not for kids. I don't want a kid showing up saying, "Where's my chicken nuggets?" Right? This was adults only, right? Obviously, if you're going to do anything with a bar, or at a bar, things like that, right? So just know, who do you want to invite? So is it adults only, or is it for the whole family? So, and there's no wrong or right to that, and you really want to intermix the two types, but determine who's your target audience of your clients for this event. And then you want to figure out, when is it going to be? What's a time that's going to be convenient for your clients? For example, and be careful of conflicts, right? If it's a whole family event, don't pick something that's the first week of school or the last week of school at a time when families are going to be busy, right? That's not a good time to choose. So find a time that is going to work well for your audience. And don't be silly with things. Don't hold some, like a bowling event on Super Bowl Sunday, right? People are busy. That's not going to be a good turnout. Now, if you want to hold a Super Bowl party, that's probably a good Sunday to do it, right? So, so you want to determine, who's the audience, what time frame is going to work well for your audience. And then geographically, right? So some people work a very tight geographic market. Some people work a very broad geographic market. So, if you've never mapped out where your clients live, by the way, take a spreadsheet of your clients and upload them into, Google Maps or any of the mapping services, and you can see it real easy where they're all at. That's actually a good exercise to do if you've never done it. But determine what's a place that is going to be geographically convenient for the people that you're inviting, right? I mean, a lot of people, are they really interested to drive an hour, for an event you're holding? Well, maybe, if I suppose, if it's the right thing, but you want to make sure it is convenient for your clients to get to. Then you got to figure out what the length of it's going to be. How long is it going to be? Years ago, I used to take a lot of clients out on a party boat on a local lake here. And we always had a great time. But the reality is it did get to be a little bit long, because if you're a client and you're not having a great time, you're kind of stuck until that boat goes back, right? And so we did that for a while, but we changed things up now and again. But just be aware of how long it's going to be, right? If you're going to hold a long event, or you hold any event really, like on a Saturday afternoon in the spring or the fall, and it's a family event, are you competing up against kids' sports, right? So these are all those things that you have to keep in mind with the selection of the time and the length of the event you're going to do. Now, sometimes if it's the type of event that's a come and go event, like a pumpkin patch, you might want it to be a lengthy time. You're there for 6 hours, but your clients are going to drop in for an hour. So if you do it on a Saturday and you're competing up against soccer and baseball, there's a lot of time that the families can still stop on by. And then, of course, budget, right? You need to figure out, what are you willing to spend on it? Now, we'll talk about sponsorships a little bit later, but figure out what you're willing to spend on an event. And then you got to go about trying to find what is an event that is going to meet the objectives that you've all laid out. I'm just going to throw out a bunch of ideas here, and feel free to chime in with things that you've done. And then we're going to talk more about the logistics of actually putting the event on. But I've done quite a number of them, different types over the years. I don't do the same things every year. Some things we obviously bring back and do multiple times, but I try not to get into too much of a rut. Actually, this year, for the first time, I did a tea party. I had heard agents talking about tea parties for years, and they were always women, and they always had a great time. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm a middle-aged man. Am I the right guy to be hosting a tea party for little girls, right? But I finally said, screw it. And, I looked at my clients. I was like, I have enough clients that have little girls. And so I held a tea party, and, the moms and actually, it wasn't just little girls. I had clients with their teenage kids, with 20-something-year-old kids. Obviously most of it was the little girls, but we had a blast. And so, that was just one of those things that, to me, I was like, am I the right guy to host it? I'm so glad I did. And this is one that we will definitely do again. A private dinner at a restaurant, right? Like the one that I held, that I mentioned earlier at the barbecue joint, but you can do any sort of restaurant in a private room, or if it's the type of one where you can rent the whole thing out for the night, depending on how many people you're having there. That's always a good one. I did one that wasn't very successful, but the people that went had a blast. We've got a lot of hiking and biking in our area, and not all of it's accessible to the public. And I arranged to take a group into an area that's generally not open to the public. And we didn't have a lot of people show up for that one, but the people who did had a blast, because they enjoy that stuff, and no one had ever been able to go to that place before. So that was one that was a little bit different. Obviously, sports teams, right? If you're in an area with professional sports, maybe you want to do something like that. That can get a little pricey, of course. If you have minor league sports, we've we've got a minor league baseball team in the area. So we've done that before. I've never rented a suite out, but I do rent out like their party areas, right? And so we've done that before. I mentioned the boat parties. Bowling is always fun. I mean, you got your old time bowling alleys where it's just bowling, and you got all the new ones that have laser tag and arcades and all that stuff. Those are ones. Mini golf. That's actually a very simple and easy one because usually you can just tell them, hey, I just want this course for an hour or two, whatever your time block is. Um, Photo shoots right around before Christmas time, and you have to do that ahead of time so that they have everything ready to make their Christmas cards. So these movies are a big one, right? I've done a lot of movies over the years. The good thing about movies is you see everyone as they're coming in, and we would always set up, like, if it was a Star Wars movie, we'd get like one of the big cardboard Chewbacca's and take everybody's photo with it, and we would hand them certificates that we'd for popcorn and soda, and you can see everyone going in. Now there's no mingling, right? Everybody gets in, the movie starts, and you're pretty quiet. And by the way, if you've never done one, you can tell them to play it without commercials and without previews. The movie just starts. So if you've not done one, I'll just throw that little tip out there.
Craig, do you mind if I ask you a question? Tell me why. I mean, it's great to come up, have all these ideas, but why? Why should I throw a party? It seems
well,
like
it's what I mentioned earlier, right? Is that the reason is you've got two prongs. One, you're thanking your clients for the business that they have provided and the referrals that they've given you. And then it gives you the opportunity. The secondary is that you are getting in front of your clients, getting some face time with them, and that's another opportunity to ask for business, to talk about real estate. You think your clients are going to call you, they're good clients and all that stuff, but just being face to face gives them the opportunity to be like, oh yeah, someone I work with is thinking about buying. I need to hook you all up, right? Sometimes it jogs the memory more when they're physically in front of you, than when you're, just a phone call or a text away. Another thing too that I do on some of ours will allow them to invite some friends, right? We have all of these have a limit on how many people can come, or most of them have a limit on how many people can come. And so once a certain date hits, if we haven't hit it, I'll reach out to the people who have responded and said, hey, we have a couple openings. Do you have a friend you'd want to bring along? And that's a great opportunity to meet people that you haven't met before, because anyone that they're going to talk to, not just the friend that brought them, but anyone else that they talk to, is only going to say incredible things about you. And so we have done that before too, and encourage people to bring some friends along. I've held a few events this year, and I think that the tea party, one friend was brought along. Baseball game, we had a number of friends brought along. I think that were the only ones that we had space for. That we had extra space.
If I am a agent that's newer, don't have a lot of past clients, how can I still do this? And what's the best way to be able to, create that same type of, connection that you're talking about without having like 50, 100 people there?
Yeah, I mean, if you're newer and don't have many clients, there are a couple of ways that you can go. If you're really trying to watch what you're spending, invite them to your house for dinner, right? Even if you only have end up with 3 couples there and you've got 6 people, great. That's a more intimate atmosphere a lot of time, and you can make the food, or if you want to bring someone in, a chef who will cook at your house, right? You can do one of those 2 things, or you can just take them out to a nice restaurant. Let's scrap the nice. It doesn't necessarily have to be a nice restaurant, but make it a good. I prefer locally owned, personally, places to take them to. That would be one thing you can do. If you we talked about, all right, I mentioned a big boat party. Well, maybe you have a boat. That's bring along a couple of clients and take them out on your own boat, right? Things like that. They don't have to be big productions. So if you're new and you don't have many clients, just do something that adapts for smaller ones. And even, I mean, I can look at anything on the list that I gave you. I mean, mini golf. All right, well, you're not going to reserve the whole side, but guess what? Hey, why don't you all come out? I'm just having some clients out, and you might even just have two groups that are following each other around the golf course. Almost everything that we talk about can be modified for a small group. Yeah. I think as a new agent, the bigger thing may be what's the budget. And that's why we talked earlier, you want to make sure you're setting your budget. Right. So, so let's say that you've decided what your event is going to be. Now you got to let your clients know. If you are friends with them on social media, great. You can invite them that way. Evites and on any of those platforms always work well. But not everyone, those have trouble getting through, spam filters sometime. Just sending a quick postcard with the information is good. And then those you want to do about a month ahead of time. And then I think once you've hit about the 2-week mark, the people you haven't heard back from, now you can start to either text them directly, give them a call directly. And this is where a lot of the power comes from. Because if you're inviting, let's say you're inviting, 50 clients. So when I say 50 clients, it might be more people, but I'm talking about, a couple is one, right? So not everybody's going to be able to make it. But just getting the invitation is good. So you haven't heard from them, so you call them. That's just another touch, and you're not calling them to talk about real estate or ask for a referral. That's not your primary reason. You're calling up saying, "Hey, I don't know if you got the the email I sent or the postcard we sent, but we're having the big party on the 17th. Are y'all going to be able to make it?" And oh no, sorry, we're going to be out of town that week. Okay, where are you going? You just have a little chit chat with them, and then you can always I'm not very good at this, but close it with, "Hey, do you know anyone who's buying or selling? Certainly would appreciate that sort of thing." So it gives you that chance to make that call. It's just another touch because those are important. Because you're going to find people, an email gets stuck in spam. If you're not in their, algorithm, they might not see it. I know some agents, I've never done it. Some agents set up a Facebook group, a private Facebook group for their clients. But even that, if you have one of those going on, the algorithm is not going to show every post that you make to each of your clients. So use multiple channels and make sure. Now, I actually keep my responses very simple. I'm just like, "Hey, you want to come? Just respond to this email, or send me a text." But some people will use Eventbrite and those sorts of things as well. It's really whatever your comfort level is. To me, I'm not trying to collect people's data, because this pool of people, I already have all their data. So I'm fine with them just replying to an email or shooting me a text. Let's see. Let's talk about sponsorships. Okay. So if you're doing an event that's a little bit pricier, you can ask some of your vendors to help kick in. Now, I will tell you that I am terrible at this. So I usually underwrite most of the costs for my stuff. But I know other agents who really do lean into their vendors with expectations that they are going to pay for this sort of thing. So if you are, having an event, you can have them contribute financially towards the cost of it. You can have them bring, a prize to be raffled off. Everybody throws their name in a hat and you draw for the prizes. I will mention one thing here, and this is not original to me. Bob, I got this from Gary Green, Better Homes and Gardens, 5 years ago, a reverse drawing. So if you have 20, people, all the names in a hat, instead of the first one wins, start with the first one and they're the first loser. And you just keep going through, and the last person drawn is who wins. It actually, people really enjoy that. It builds up a lot of suspense. People are still in it, down to the end. There's 3 left. There's 2 left. Sorry, I just throw that out there. That's been a fun way to do any of the raffles when we have those going on at the events. if it's not just financial, if a lender is providing some support, your lender's going to be there. Give your lender, a minute or two. Don't give them a lot of time. Give them a minute or two to just address everybody, and they're there as well to be able to go around and chat with people. And obviously, if these are vendors that you use a lot, a bunch of your clients have likely used them, whether it was a lender or a home inspector or something like that. So hopefully they already know people who are there, so they should be comfortable being there as well. And they can help you set up, they can help you tear down. So it's good to do that. Any questions at this point in it? It's a lot of me talking, so I'd love to hear A, questions, or B, share some of the events that you've done and things that worked well, or hurdles that you hit, and maybe have a question as to how we might be able to navigate that. You're all muted, so I can't tell who's talking. You're all talking over each other, but it's just I think they're all muted.
You consider like the closing, their house closes and a couple of weeks, months after that you do a housewarming party. Would you consider that a client event, or would you put that in its own separate bucket?
Probably its own separate bucket, because you're not inviting all of your clients there. Right, with the home, and I've never done these. I certainly know some people are very good at them. If y'all haven't heard about it, you're basically inviting the friends of your client, and you're hosting the party for them. So I would think that's a different bucket, because your audience is people that you don't know.
Yeah, I've had most of my success from that, because when you're there, the coolest thing is that homeowner, the new buyer, is on a high. They're excited. They had just moved in, and like they sing your praises the whole time you're there, and they're excited to introduce you as their realtor to all of their friends and family. So it makes it a very easy way to be able to build those connections. And I've had lots of people while we're there, especially since, at least in the area that I used to work in, where people are moving away to go to that area, and so they're trying to now get their friends to move closer to them, and so it was like an easy conversation to have. So
yeah, and that's like, as we talk through some of the stuff we talked about earlier, that's one where you would want to use something like Eventbrite, so that when you send out the invitations, or you have your friends send them out, however, there's a couple of ways you can do it, but have them register so you're collecting all that stuff and have all their contact information. Yeah, absolutely. And again, with that, that's another great way to get some co-sponsorship, because that buyer probably used a home inspector that you referred them to, probably used a lender you referred them to. And so that's actually an easier call, is to say, hey, lender, remember this client? Well, I'm hosting a thing for them. Can you throw in, some cash for it? Feel free to stop by. Yeah. So that's really something I have to work on, is getting other people to pay for the stuff I do. Who else? Those of you, I guess I would say, for those of you who have done client events, and there were some of you, what are some of the successful ones that you've done?
Define success. I've spent a lot of money on
people show up, I guess.
Yeah, well, I've done private chefs in people's homes after a big closing, and about all their friends and everything. And it's always a blast to do. It's just expensive as hell. And I'm not sure I've gotten any follow-up business from all that, but I'm going to keep doing it, though. I think it's just a fun thing for people to do, and they remember you for it,
So again, if we dive deeper into it, do you get the contact information of everybody that's there, or are you relying on your client to reach out to them and invite them?
No, I have done both. The best way, I think, is to get their invitation list, and then I send out the invitations myself, and then I would have that. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. And then you have to have a follow-up plan, right? Are you going to add them to your regular newsletter distribution?
Right.
Or, those are the things that's what takes because you're right. If you don't have any follow-up and you don't have any data on the people, it gets really hard to get that ROI on it. And Nazar, he says he had great success. He's probably going to be a better person to answer this than I have because I don't do that sort of event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's cheaper ways to pull this off.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you who haven't done them, what would you cite as the reason you haven't? Is it, hey, I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't see the benefits of it. The cost is too high. What are some of the reasons you haven't done them? And we can kind of address some of those.
My first couple years were a lot of FSBOs moving out of state, so I had no clients that were in Massachusetts. They had
No
all
clients left.
South Carolina,
Yes.
yeah, and Florida. But June I had 3. I was planning. I put together housewarming party. Like I have like the idea because some of the people in my office do it as well, but I haven't executed yet. I think it's just analysis paralysis for me.
Do you have, I know you're on a team, do you have any team resources that would help you with it?
Yeah, no. So we're a team, Rich. So we're like we are a team, but we're not a team. We're all our individual agents as well. And I am very particular. So I like to create my own. I know it's awful. It's better to rip off and duplicate than start from scratch, but I feel more confident when it's mine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the ways that you will be sure to put it together is to invite people. And then
Yeah.
when you realize that you're hosting an event, very quickly you will put it together.
Yeah.
So if you just say, hey, a month from now we're doing this here. Even if you have no other details put together, you will find very quickly, you will find the time to put those details together. All right. A couple other things I wanted to hit on. If you are going to do an event that is outdoors, be sure you have a backup plan, right? If the weather is not conducive, do you have a backup date? Do you have a backup location? We're going to do it that we're rain or shine. If it's rainy, we're moving it over to here. So have that planned out, right? Don't be surprised by the weather and trying to figure it out at the end. If you're serving food, and I think that this really comes with it, you're going to have a larger group of people. If you're serving food, if that's kind of like the main event of it, make sure that the setup is that you can get people through the lines quickly. Don't end up with a massive line. I mean, this is not a client event, but I host, we take lunch in for teachers at some of the local schools on in-service days. And we run 4 lines at the high school, which is the biggest one that we do this at. We run 4 lines because otherwise it would take way too long to get everybody through. So try to think through those logistics ahead of time. You don't want your people just having to wait around and stand around, whether it's for the food or, if you're doing, some activity, just make sure they don't have to wait a long time to get to it. Let me see here. We talked about the invitations. We talked about kind of different options for events. I want to talk about what you do after the fact. That's kind of what we mentioned, when we're talking with Bob's item there. You have to have a follow-up plan in place before the event. Okay, so if you are doing something let's say you're doing photos with Santa. Okay, so you're doing that sometime in November so that the people come by and you can return everything to them. How is that going to be? Are you just going to send a digital photo by email? Are you going to send a digital photo by email and then have a 5x7, printed up and sent to them? And if you're doing that, is it going to be framed or unframed, right? Think of those things through ahead of time. And then hopefully while you're there, somebody is going to say, hey, we need help with this. Be sure that you have allotted yourself some time afterwards to take care of that. It doesn't have to be, in the first hour, but the next day that you have, mentally taken those notes, maybe, pull out your phone and say, okay, yeah, let me call you tomorrow about that, and put it in your phone. You don't want to drop the ball with these people with the follow-up afterwards. Now, personally, whether you're if you on a client event, I don't think the follow-up is as um, detailed as if you're doing a community event, or hosting a housewarming thing, because they're already on lists that you send out. They're already in all of your systems. So you're really following up with if there are any post items that you're sending, like a photo or any gifts or things like that, or whatever their requests were. So on a client event, I don't think the follow up is as lengthy, but you do want to make sure that you are taking care of those things. Let's see, other ideas. I really just want to also just provide you with ideas, because what I like, you may not like, right? And so just other things that are out there. Pumpkin patches, I mentioned that, where you just set up a local pumpkin patch and you're there and they come by and they pick up what they want. Pies, that's always a big one, right? Pies at Thanksgiving. I used to do that I probably did that for 5 or 6 years, and then, kind of got away from that one and switched into some other things. But pies are always a big one. Now, a lot of people do it at Thanksgiving. It can be kind of a busy time. Another good time to do pies is March 14th. It's Pie Day, 3.14, right? So if you want to kind of step out a little bit from the real estate agent norm of pie at Thanksgiving, you have other dates that you can do it. I mean, heck, you could pick the 4th of July and take, apple pie or cherry pie or something like that. So you have lots of options. And sometimes it's you're delivering them. I guess that would be more of a pop by. This would be the clients coming to you, and you can do it just by they're picking up pie, or you can hold some other little event around the pie itself. Then there's really just kind of like a standard, party, whether you're going to hold that at some sort of a community center, or at your office or your home or something like that. Those are definitely options. We have one of the things that we do, well, every year, my wife and I host a Christmas cookie party at our house. It's a come and go open house sort of thing. We have usually about 120 people come through during a few hours. But occasionally, if I can get her to bake more cookies for me, we'll do a second one for clients. And so, just a cookie event, and they're all coming to our house for that sort of thing. I've never tried loading clients on a bus and taking them somewhere. I think probably because it's a big time commitment. But one of these years, there's one that I do want to try and see if we could get enough people to go. But anyway, that was really all I had. I prepared about a half hour worth, because I was hoping we could have some discussion.
Can I share some more thoughts?
Absolutely.
You talked about the follow-up, and I think I'd like to re-stress that for everybody. It's interesting. I had a friend of mine, not in real estate. He's a lender, and he took out these. No, he didn't take them out. I apologize. They had come over to they met up. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is. And while they were there, this lender talking to these agents and said, "Hey, what would I have to do to earn your business?" And these agents kind of, laughing, joking a little bit, because it's an awkward question to be asked, very, blunt.
Yeah.
They said, "Well, take us out to lunch." And the lender said, okay, yeah, I'll do that." Never did anything about it. And I talked to this agent like a month or 2 months later, and I'm like, we're talking about this individual, and they're like, yeah. They asked us what they would need to do to earn our business, and we just said, "We're easy, take us out to lunch." And the lender never did. And I went and talked to the lender. I'm like, "Dude, these guys are doing good real estate. Like, they asked you, or you asked them what to do, and they told you exactly what they needed to do or what you needed to do, and you didn't do it." And he said, "Well, I thought they were just joking around." I'm like, "They weren't." And so I've been in situations where I've met people and they've told me, "Oh yeah, like, send me listings of this," or yeah, I'm curious about the value of my house. I'm like, oh yeah, totally cool. And then I just dropped the ball. I never did it. And so it's like you miss those opportunities. It seems so simple, and it can be. We just overthink it or we forget about it. We make little notes on a piece of paper or even on our phone, and we just completely forget. And so all of us have access to some type of a CRM, whether it be Lofty or Follow Boss or something else you use. Put it in there. Put yourself a reminder in there. Add them as a lead, right? Like take those initial couple of additional steps. It's like those agents that do open houses just for the sake of doing open houses so they can check off a box versus the agents that do open houses and they make it a big deal. They invite all the neighbors, they send out postcards, they follow up with those people. Like you make it a big to do and you like squeeze as much as you possibly can from those opportunities. That's when you can shine. That's when you can take that event and say, well, I did it, nothing happened, compared to I did it and it crushed it because I followed up. Right? Like it's not our responsibility, or pardon me, it's not their responsibility to follow up. It's our responsibility as the agent to follow up with those agents. Right. I'm going to give an example of Emily. She closed a transaction. This might be a little too raw, Emily, but she closed on a transaction. I'm like, hey, you should go talk to the neighbors and all these things. And like,
I did.
you did. And an opportunity would have come up, right? Or did come up, but a missed opportunity happened. Like, don't be afraid of, or the money is in the follow-up. Like, don't just do anything. And I'm not saying that you did this, Emily. You didn't do it half-assed. What I'm saying is like, make sure that if you are going to commit to doing something, whatever it is, that you go all the way in. Like you go full send, like take all the steps, go to ChatGPT and say, how can I make this event the best event possible? And she'll tell you what to do. She'll tell you exactly how to set it up properly and what things to, be aware of or not forget. And then make sure you put those people on the CRM system. And what I love about what Craig has done over the years is that, I mean, Craig, what percentage of your business has come from your past clients and Sphere? Has it been?
Oh, well over half of my business comes from past clients in Sphere. Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously Craig and I have been around the block for a little bit. And so like, you get that repeat and referral business. But even if you guys are newer in the business, like your Sphere in an essence becomes your past client, right? It's like in a way becomes that. Or adopt past clients, right? Like go to the list of all the homes that have sold in the last year in the neighborhood and go and invite them to a party. No one's doing
I
that.
will say, yeah, that I mean, with orphan clients, is I guess what I call them, right? Is when I represent the seller and the buyer, if the buyer's agent is, if it's someone I know, I'm not going to adopt their client, right? But feel free to adopt them. Depending on the contracts and how things are set up in your state, you may have their contact information. And so we do add them and treat them just like they were our clients. So yeah, definitely that's a great point, Nazar. And then on the follow-up, just be sure to schedule it. Like I said, on a client event, I think it's less follow-up time than other types of events, but don't miss it and schedule it. Set an hour or two aside the next day to take care of the things that you told your clients you would follow up with them on.
So, Craig, thank you so much. And this is what we're going to do to end this call today. This isn't one of those things where you just sit back and listen or half listen while you're doing something completely different. This is the time where you say, okay, what are you going to commit to today? And I'm not saying what you're going to commit to doing today, but what are you going to commit to today that you're going to do? And let's put a date on it. And I want you guys to all get on your phones or on your laptop, depending on where you're listening to this. And in the comments, I want you to commit to everybody here what you're going to do. What is the next event that you're going to hold? What's the next thing you're going to do that you're going to be all in on? So take a think, or take 30 seconds, think about it, and post in the comments below, what is it that you're going to commit to doing? Is it going to be, obviously we're talking about past client events today. Is that it? Is that the client? Are you going to do your client event? And if it is, when are you going to do it? When's the next client event you're going to do? And if you get very specific, put a date or at least put a month of when you're going to commit to doing it.
And don't forget about the resources that are here too. If you want to do an event that you've not done before, there are people who've done them at Fiv. Go out on the circle and just start a chat. Say, hey, I'm hosting a client event and I am doing a movie. It's the first time I've done one. What can you tell me? Let everyone else at Fiv help you get there faster. And we'll, I'm always happy to take a call, jump on a Zoom on a one-on-one with this stuff, but so are a lot of other people here. And, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We know that Vanessa will, invent her own wheel, apparently, but they're out there that you can just copy.
Okay, I love the fact that Kristen's the only person that has made a commitment to doing something. Lovely. Thank you, Kristen. Holy smokes. Come on, you guys. Like, think about it. And here's the thing. Like, you literally don't have to spend like more than $20. Honestly. You can legit say, I'm going to have people come to my house and I'm going to order some pizzas and we're just going to just chill. We're going to watch a movie. Like you're going to do a Harry Potter series where we're going to binge watch, 2 Harry Potter movies back to back, and you're going to get popcorn and Little Caesars pizza and some soda, and you're just going to hang out with, some of your past clients. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be crazy over the top. It doesn't have to be, you can get there, right? Like, I know a buddy of mine that would throw like massive, ginormous parties where he'd have like 1,500 people there, where he would like come with a helicopter and drop off Easter eggs like from a helicopter. Like, it was just, he'd make it a big to-do every single time. And that's fine. You can get there, but you could also keep it super intimate and small. Perfect.
Hey, Sarah, real quick. First of all, I don't think we've ever met. I can't find you on my screen right now, but I absolutely love ice cream. So I love your choice of one. But I would love to hear how you're going to pull that off. Are they going to come and eat the ice cream at your house? Are you going to have like the entire spread available, bananas and whipped creams and all the toppings and big bowls and all that sort of stuff? Would love to hear how you plan to do that one. You may not have planned it yet, right? So, but
No.
that's the thing. I just want to follow up
more
on
in
that.
my head would be like popsicles and have it on dry ice and ice chests out front of my house. There's a tons of kids, and kids like walk through my neighborhood after school. So we could I probably wouldn't do it after school, but I would do it on a Saturday, where their parents would come, obviously. So just do something fun for the neighborhood.
Good.
Craig, did you get my reel that I sent you about ice cream?
I saw it. I haven't watched it yet. I think I was in the car, and I gotta get, when I'm in the car, I'll see it come in, but I gotta remember to go back and see them. So.
All right. Well, very good. Go watch it. It's pretty funny.
All right.
Okay.
I'm just trying to write down everything people are writing in there because I'll follow up with you after the fact and see how things went, or push you along if you have forgotten.
So, Bobby, what do you mean by pop up? Like, pop by? What are you going to do? And how many past clients are you going to do a pop by?
I'll do at least 10 clients that are pretty close, and I'll drop off something fun for them at their house, something like that. Yeah.
What are you going to drop off?
I'm not sure yet. Either a food item or something. I don't know. I got to figure that out. I don't know yet. So maybe cookies. I may do the cookie delivery place or something like that. I don't know.
All right. Well, like I said, you can always find me on Circle. You can always find me by email. I'm not hard to find. If you want accountability on this sort of thing, or if you have questions, I am more than happy to help. So, all right. Unless there are any other questions, I've done what I have presented what I had to present.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for your time. All right, you guys. Have a wonderful weekend.